What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and I'm here with my esteemed co-host, Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness. So Isaac's recently moved over to Florida, and as he goes exploring outside, finding new friends, he gets great new guests for us. So we have the team from Strength and Performance Institute, Tampa Bay, Donnie, Kiernan, and Katie Taylor. What's up, guys?
Yo.
What's up?
Well, more energetic than that. What's up?
Right? Like, come at me, bro. That's what I was like.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us this evening. So I don't know where to start. I mean, how did you, whoever would like to go first, how did you get into strength and performance? Were you certified personal trainers? And then Donnie, maybe did you kind of go into entrepreneurship from there? What's the story?
Want me to start first, Katie?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been into this industry for about 2 decades now. I first started training when I was 21, and I'm 40 now. So it was a hobby at first, and then I got an obsession, and then it turned into a potential business as I, felt I was capable enough to coach other people. And, because unfortunately, you guys know this, people all of a sudden they do 2 shows and they call themselves a coach when they took third in the novice. And I didn't want to be that. So, I was probably 34, 35 before I felt comfortable like coaching people for money. So that's how it turned into that. And then I was just training people at people's gyms here and there. And then about 2 years ago, I decided to open up my own facility right in the middle of the world issue, literally in the middle of it, May 1st, 2020. Is when I opened the gym. So, yep. So I've been in it for a while. Certified, college education, all that good stuff. So.
And is the gym geared towards strongman only or powerlifting, sort of all strength sports? Where's the focus?
The focus is not towards any type of strength athletics, really. It has it in there, but it's more about just overall human body performance. So we have everything from teenage soccer players, softball players, basketball players, all the way to, people in their 50s and 60s looking to come back from frozen shoulder issues. And they want to be able to reach up and grab something off of their, cabinet again. So it ranges all the way around. So.
Interesting. Yeah, you had me at basketball because I love watching those YouTube videos about vertical leap and stuff like that because I don't have one. So I'm always jealous. Like I was at a kids party with my daughter yesterday and they had, the box jumps for the kids with the foam. And I did a 24-inch jump like with bent knees and everything. And I'm like, these guys have like 48-inch verticals. How is this happening?
I always loved jumping. I've been a big guy my whole life. Even when I was in the military, I was 220, 230. I always loved being the guy that could jump 40 inches at 300 pounds and like watch people's jaws drop. Like, how the hell is that big guy getting up there? I always enjoyed it. I used to train with Elliot Hulse, which I'm sure you guys know Elliot, and he was big into jumping. So I really enjoyed that. So.
Yeah, see that a lot in Strongman. Isaac, you've probably encountered that as well. But like, doesn't Bobby Thompson does some pretty good vertical leaping, right? Like big guys that I've seen. As you say, your jaw drops like, wow, I'm lazy. So, Katie, how does your story tie in with SPI?
It's a crazy story, actually. I've known Donnie for 5-6 years, I think, just through a part-time job that we both share that is unrelated to fitness whatsoever. And just over the years, traveling together sometimes for this job. And I've helped him out with a couple of strongman shows. We just started talking and gained a friendship. And then I think in the middle of last year, after I was frustrated with being kind of at a plateau by having to work out in my apartment, because, gyms were closed for a little while. The highest dumbbells that I had was 15 pounds. And I was like, I'm not progressing. Went in to see him about my squat form. And the interest had already been in my mind about wanting to get into something different where it's not a job, it's a career, something that I love to do, something where I'm helping enrich other people's lives as well as, enriching my own. And I said, anything within the fitness realm that I could get involved in. I said, I don't even care if it's a front desk person at like an LA Fitness, anybody. And who's like, well, funny you should ask. His wife was pushing him to hire another trainer for the gym because he's, we're looking to expand and, maybe down the road, hire another trainer, get a bigger facility, and just, the sky's the limit and where we can go. And I was like, okay, well, I haven't gone to college. And up until last year, I had no idea that to be a personal trainer, you just had to go through schooling through whatever avenue you choose. And, you're certified and you can start. I thought that you needed a college degree. So went through all the avenues of school and started, I think, December of last year. So it's been really, really great. He's been great, kind of like a mentor. He's given me some hands-on training as far as how to train well, stuff that I just was not retaining very well by reading through it in the text, so I've full-fledged jumped both feet in it, and here I am. So I love it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how I can potentially help somebody else, whether it's their goal is to lose weight or, build muscular hypertrophy. They want to get into, maybe strongman or whatever. I can help them. And like he mentioned, we have a wide range of clients. One of my clients is in her 60s and she has mobility issues, balance issues. And so the highest pound dumbbells that I have her use are 8s. Like that is it. And very, very easy exercises. I don't get into all of the crazy in-depth words about muscle groups and everything. Like, this is how it's done. This is how it's going to help your back, your shoulders. This is, and this is how you're not going to trip walking the dog because your balance is going to improve. If that's a client that's brought to me, then that's fine, so.
Interesting. And then did Isaac and I hear correctly that you either have just started in strongman or will be competing soon?
I got into strongman kind of like a fluke. Just, I was already interested in it from helping out Donnie at a couple of his events, the Tampa Classic in October, and it just sparked my interest athletically. Yeah, he's wearing one of the shirts there. It sparked my interest athletically because I've always been an athlete. I've always competed. I played basketball and volleyball in school. And, I'll be 39 this year. So I don't know if my knees could handle playing basketball or volleyball anymore. But I wanted to do something else where I was competing. And strongman just really, really sparked my interest because I want to be that small girl that defies everybody's expectations about what I can do, and it's funny, like I've had two shows, both were unsanctioned, but I've competed in two comps. And when I was talking about the first one that I was going to compete in, I just put on Instagram and I'm getting ready for my first competition. And one of my friends was like, "Oh, that's awesome. What are you doing, a bikini contest?" I was like, hell no. It's just, I love that people look at me and they think they automatically assume that I'd be doing something totally different than strongman just because of the way I look. So I like I said, defying the norm for girls that maybe look like me. I don't know.
Nice. Shout out to Justin, by the way. He says he knows you.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
not, I've trained with you a little bit, Katie, and you're not weak. You're definitely very strong. And so I think people do look at you and they might think that, but as soon as you start lifting weights, I don't think they think that as much. So
Oh yeah.
you have that going for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were saying like the small girl who can do it all, you reminded me. You ever watch American Ninja Warrior, Casey Catanzaro? She was like 5'2" or something and destroying everybody.
I think I have seen her. Yeah.
She's a beast.
Yeah, unbelievable. So Donnie, I was wondering, in terms of, you were saying you get kind of a great variety of different requests at your gym in terms of different sports and whatnot. Like, do you have kind of canned programs for basketball versus strongman and so forth, or are they custom done each time?
No, every program that I come through is custom done because that's one of the core values of the gym is we're not a big box gym where we're putting you through machines and rep counters. I mean, everybody who's at least halfway into some strength has been to a box gym and watched somebody, who doesn't have the qualifications for training somebody, putting them through the same machines over and over and charging them premium prices, and they think they're getting the best out of it. So no, when it comes here, we're working on like for my daughter, for example. I got a 9-year-old daughter. My 9-year-old's 5'2", and she's a beast on the softball field. And so during the summer, I'm putting her through a good strength program because she's a pitcher and a catcher, and getting her, stronger, faster on her lower body to be able to pop up out of position, that kind of stuff. So I'm putting her through a custom program there, and I have a soccer player who's actually looking to get faster in the sprint because he can run long distances, but he needs to have that 5 seconds of burst of speed to get ahead on breakaways. So we're doing a lot of explosive dynamic training for him, which is completely different from what he's normally doing, where they just do basic cardio and calisthenics. So it's all depend on what they're doing. And of course, I have athletes that are strength athletes still. I still love strongman and powerlifting. But I tend to get people to come to me that have more specific needs, hip replacements, that they want to learn how to squat again. I had a guy that had a bilateral hip replacement that he was 180 pounds and he wanted to squat 225 to parallel. And he was in his late 50s. And 9 months after we started training, I got him to squat 225 to parallel. So, but I didn't put a bar on his back for the first 3 months. It was frustrating for him, but it was what needed. He needed mobility before we could even think about building strength. So yeah, everything we do is definitely tailored to what the individual client needs. And with my extensive background of screwing up and injuring myself, I kind of look at that as like I paid the toll to try to keep you from doing that as a client. So my injuries, my body beat up, is something that would keep you from the person going through those injuries and other things that happen. From just doing stupid stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, so how tough are you two on your clients in the gym? Like people who won't listen and, you kind of know best. Like for me, Isaac knows I'm bad with warm-ups. Like my warm-up is literally, I take my kids to school, right? And I like working out in the woods. So I take my kids to school, I get them on the trail, and my warm-up is literally running to the stone I'm about to press over my head, and then press it a few times, press some logs, and run out. So, like, would you take it hard on me in terms of warm up properly? Are you going to get hurt, or are you more of a kind and caring type of trainers?
I'll let Katie answer first.
Oh, I would definitely get on you for you would need to have a much better warm up than just running up to the stone, because it's not so much legs. Like you need to warm up your shoulders and your back and everything else before you lift that over your head. Me personally, I like to think that I'm somewhere between a cheerleader and a drill sergeant. Like I'm kind of in the middle, if that makes sense, as far as pushing my clients, as far as really getting on them about what they need to do better, as far as warm up, cool down, and all that kind of stuff. And I somewhat need to practice what I preach, and I will be honest there, because when I get to the gym and I'm especially if I'm training strongman, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do the log today, and I don't really warm up my back and my shoulders enough. But really what I do with my clients is I play it by ear. I have one client and she actually does call me a cheerleader, because I'm like, come on, you got it, let's go. And and when I see that she's starting to struggle, I'll cut it down by 2 or 3 reps, where I wanted her to do 10. If she's really struggling at 5, I'm only going to have her do 1 or 2 more, because that's what she needs. I have another client that starts to struggle around 8, and I want her to do 12, and she's going to do freaking 12 because she's tough. So like I said, I like to think that I'm somewhere in between, a drill sergeant and a cheerleader. I do what the client, what I feel the client needs in the moment,
Yeah, sounds awesome. Donnie, how about you?
Well, Katie, if you ever need some motivation to warm up your shoulders, I can show you some holes in my shoulder from why you should warm up your shoulders, because that was a setback. And I can show you the knees as well if you want to know why you should warm up your knees before you squat and deadlift. Hey, I'm all about that. But when it comes to my clients, I'm more of the I learned this from a lot of my mentors. And whenever someone gives you excuses or what they're doing, you just kind of ask, like, so how's that working out for you? just put that question there and make them answer their own question and make them motivate themselves almost to that point where, hey, you can do this, but how's it going to work out for you? I definitely, for a large man, I'm more docile than aggressive. So I don't play the aggressive card. Most people are grown people. I'm going to give you the advice. You're coming to me and paying for my expertise. And if I'm going to tell you what you should be doing, what I think you should be doing based off of my experience, my opinion. And if you choose to not do it, so be it. But I will give the disappointing dad look every now and then just to let them know that I'm not happy with their decision making.
Well, I promise both of you, I have been starting off with lighter stones for bigger reps these days. I have proof on Instagram, so no disappointing looks. Isaac, jump on in, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So, Katie, I know if you're comfortable talking about it, because I know you had a stroke a while back, and that kind of played a role in a lot of where you're at now. If you're comfortable talking about it, could we discuss that on here as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a long while ago. And
Right.
but yeah, I'm absolutely comfortable talking about it now. I wasn't for a long time because I didn't want people to look at me as disabled, for lack of a better word. And so for the first few years, I didn't really talk about it because I didn't want sympathy. I would accept empathy, but I didn't want sympathy. And I didn't want, oh, if you can't handle this, if you think it's too hard, don't worry about it. I didn't want that. I wanted to prove that I could do it. And now I'm fully 100% okay with embracing it. If anything, I feel like it is fuel to help motivate others. So it happened in August 9th of 2009. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and I was on my way out to East Georgia, about a couple hours from where I lived. And all of a sudden, luckily I wasn't driving this morning, but for whatever reason that morning, my head went down. The person I was with said, "It looks like you're having a stroke." I laughed. I was like, "There's no way I'm having a stroke." He took me to the nearest clinic, and turns out that I had a bilateral ischemic stroke. So an ischemic stroke is actually the most common of all the strokes. A bilateral ischemic is actually very uncommon. Usually strokes are a result of some sort of cardioembolic cause of some sort. Mine, they suspect a clot developed in my legs sometime during adolescent years. Like I said earlier, I played basketball, volleyball. I was always on my feet. I waited tables, was always on my feet. So the clot could have developed at any point during my childhood and adolescent years. For whatever reason, this particular morning, it moved up from my leg, through my heart, and to my brain. They found out after they airlifted me to a larger hospital in Atlanta that I actually had what the stroke killed, or what the clot killed rather, was an extra artery in my brain called the Percheron Artery. This artery is only between 7 and 10% of the population. It's very, very rare, and it's connected to the thalamus. The thalamus is a part of your brain in the very middle that is basically your relay station of all incoming motor and sensory info, like hearing, taste, sight, and touch. So, like I said, that's the part of my brain that was killed, was the Percheron artery, and the thalamus was affected as well. So, luckily, the fact that it was bilateral is why I don't have any of the, how a lot of times people after strokes, one side of their face and their body will be droopy, bad mobility issues where they can hardly lift one shoulder, one arm. I didn't have that, luckily. Mine was more of my, I guess, motor skills, but not moving my limbs. It was memory. It was trying to get volume out of my mouth. I couldn't talk. For a very long time. I could speak, but I couldn't put any volume out of my mouth. And the crazy thing about my stroke is it is so rare. My neurologist that I had at the hospital in Atlanta said that he had to search through every medical journal that he had. He finally ended up calling the top neurologist at Emory Hospital, I think, and they were only able to find one other documented case of my type of stroke that affected the artery of Percheron. And he was like 64 years old, this other gentleman that had it. So it was very, very rare, very scary. My rehabilitation was give or take about a year-ish in order to be able to shower on my own without feeling like I was going to fall over. Somebody had to be in the bathroom with me while I was showering, which was really debilitating. I didn't drive. I couldn't cook my own food, like nothing. So I've really, really come a long way. And I like to think that I'm an amazing success story. And that's also a big reason why I got into fitness as a career, because like I said, I feel like I'm going to meet somebody at some point that maybe hasn't gone through the exact same thing as I have, but has dealt with some sort of brain trauma that has affected them, their memory, especially, or their mobility or whatever. And I can personally empathize on a personal level, 100%. And so that's all I want to do. I want to be motivating others is what motivates me. So that's my main goal in this. So.
Yeah, quite a motivating story. Wow. So you really had to fight through. Was it more of like a support system you had that kind of got you through, or just your own internal will?
Both, but definitely my support system. My mom used to be she was an LPN nurse. Mm-hmm. And so she knows so much about just health in general. And so she rehabilitated me. I wasn't comfortable in going to any kind of rehab or anything like that because I was just so emotionally stressed over it. I couldn't do a lot of things that I was able to do before the stroke. And so she helped rehabilitate me. And then I dealt with, why did this even happen to me? Because I didn't have any of the risk factors. So I'm sure that y'all know the typical risk factors for strokes, no matter what you're out for younger adults. The typical risk factors are things like smoking, or tobacco use, drinking, drug use, birth control. Those are probably the top 4 that can cause strokes for the most part. And I had none of them, none of them. The only risk factor I had at the time was that I smoked cigarettes, but I was so busy. It took me like 5 days to smoke a whole pack. So it wasn't like I was smoking excessively. I don't know. I don't know where it came from, but yeah, definitely a huge support system. And a lot of it was kind of internal, intrinsic motivation, if you will, because like I said, from being an athlete my whole life, I was like, I'll be damned if I cannot go to the gym again and work out on my own and learn how to properly lift weights again. And I somehow found some sort of internal motivation to keep going. I felt like God gave me a second chance at life, and I didn't want to pass up any opportunity that came to me. I don't know why it took this long for the opportunity to work with Donnie came up, but I'm glad that it did. So I'm excited to see where it takes me.
That's awesome. Any of those symptoms residual at all, like memory or the taste that you mentioned?
So taste, no, my taste is fine. The only thing that's really residual at this point is the memory for sure. Now, it's not like I'm not going to forget that your name is Isaac. Like I'm not going to forget that in 2 seconds. It's not like I don't know that movie with Drew Barrymore where she forgets everything every day when she wakes up. 51st Date. It's not something like that. It's a different kind of memory. Like my long-term memory is pretty much there. It's basically my short-term memory that is really crap. And the emotional stuff is still there. Like too much stimuli at one time can really overwhelm me to where my brain just shuts down. I have to sit down and in a cool, dark room and have like nothing for like 30 minutes. So my brain can get overwhelmed at times, like I said, with too much stimuli, but for the most part, I've learned how to manage it a lot better now. So.
Awesome. And so speaking of memory, Donnie, let's see how good your memory is. How long are you going to remember this disc from Justin?
Am I going to remember what?
Check out the screen.
Oh.
How long is that one going to stick in your mind?
Oh, jeez. Next question.
Be nice, Donnie.
Next question. You ever heard of it's kind of like Justin is like a mild strain of herpes. All right, so hey, that's on camera there too. So am I allowed to say herpes? That wasn't in the rules. Okay, all right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay, all right.
If the video is flagged afterwards, we'll let you know. There you go.
Justin is a giant pain in my ass, but I love him. So, and I do mean giant. So
it's a big dude.
He's a big dude.
What's we're both just big teddy bears, and you know it.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what's the most unique request you've gotten at the gym in terms of a program to set up for somebody?
For me, I had a ultra marathoner come to me, and I trained her 100-mile runner. And the issue is she was running out of muscular endurance right around mile 60. She had great cardio, but she just couldn't propel herself anymore. So I did a lot of research on that because, as you can see, not a runner's physique here. So I had to do some research and call some friends that were really in tune to that industry. Because, by the way, ultra marathoners are a very small breed. Not a lot of people are doing that. So yeah, that was probably the more unique one, and it was a success. She also did lots of 5 and 10Ks, and I remember working with her, and for within like a 4-month span, we knocked like 3 minutes off of her 5K. And even myself, I was like, I don't even know if I can take full credit for that. Like, I don't know. That's incredible. Like to be able to do that. So
amazing. Jump on in, Isaac.
No, I was gonna say I have a couple buddies that do ultra marathons, and they always tell me about it, and I was like, that sounds like no fun at all. I like picking up rocks, and that's about as far as I go.
Right.
You got that 400 pounds in your lap a few weeks ago, if you don't remember.
My wonderful wife just gave me a good example. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago, I had a client whose son was had Asperger's, mild autism, and came to me at 11 years old, and I really wish I would have filmed the first time I saw him run. It looked like a 15-second controlled fall where he never actually fell. And good kid, but very intelligent. In fact, he's already got interest from Caltech to go over and do some rocket propulsion stuff. They're extremely intelligent. His dad is a neurosurgeon, but he had no motor path knowledge whatsoever of his own body. His understanding of how his body moved was absolutely none. So, but the thing with autism and Asperger's on a mild spectrum is they obsess over things that they just do not want to stop learning. So I introduced him to a barbell, and I said, all we're going to do is squat. And I started squatting with him, and then he obsessed over squatting. And once he got squatting done really well, I introduced him to deadlifting, and he loved it. Then I introduced him to box jumps. And after about a year and a couple months training with him, not only was he running, he was playing flag football and doing very well. And his father, like I said, who was a neurosurgeon, came up and shook my hand. He goes, I don't know what you did, but he's a completely different kid just by his understanding of how to he mastered how to control his body, and like that fixes something in his mind. Is like, okay, now I can do this, and it propelled him further. And like I said, when you have a guy who's a very highly prolific neurosurgeon coming up saying, I don't know what you did, but my son is a new person, it made me feel like, all right, I appreciate that. So that's probably one of my favorites too. Thanks, babe.
Awesome. Have you guys always been there in the Tampa Bay area, or have you, like LeBron, taking your talents to other cities?
No, I would love to take my talents to other cities eventually, but right now, no, we've been located in Tampa Bay, Pinellas County area. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I've never been. I gotta come visit all you guys one day. Oh, Isaac a visit.
It's nice down here. I mean, I've only been here for a month, but I'm enjoying it so far. So.
Welcome to
Like I said, you keep finding these cool people when you go for your walks.
Everyone down here is amazing. So that's one of the perks. I haven't met anyone I don't like yet. people where I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend a lot of time around you because you seem like the stereotypical Florida man, but all the others are fantastic.
Stereotypical Florida man is real, by the way.
What is that? I'm not familiar. What is that?
That's you ever seen like an article that says Florida man, and then the next part of it is like some completely outlandish, like wrestles an alligator high on
Wrestles
milk.
an alligator. Yeah.
That's real. That happens down here. It gets too hot. The brain gets melted, and then next thing you know, you're wrestling an alligator.
Oh my God.
So yeah, John, you need to Google Florida man and then your birthday, and everybody has a birthday Florida man, and I think I have like 4 or something like that, and all of them are like, where did these people come from? It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, the only Florida man I know is my father-in-law, and he's all right. Cool.
So Donnie, you said you competed in strongman for a while, right?
Yes, I started in strongman back in 2008, and in Florida back then it was very small. There was really 1 or 2 training groups. One was in Gainesville, one was in Tampa Bay. I think it might have been maybe one in Miami, but it wasn't a very big one. And I did it because the first time I went out there and trained, I got my ass royally kicked, and it was one of those, well, I'm not going to let this beat me. So I went back to it, and it just kind of stuck with me. And then I transitioned more into powerlifting into my mid-30s, and kind of really did well with that. I ended up winning an APF national championship in 2016 for the submaster class. So I went well on that as far as my body would let me go. But strongman was always an enjoyment for me. I enjoyed the competition aspect of strongman. It was one of the first competition environments where I would find competitors that would try to help me beat them. And it didn't make sense to me at first. But now I understand it, because it is really a small and obscure sport. Really, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, even the most prolific strongman is still not up there in the scheme of sports. So it's one of those things. We do it for the glory and the ability to do something, not for the fame and fortune. And we're not trying to step on one guy to get to the next level. I've always said I want to beat that guy at his best, not his worst. So if he forgets his shoes and I beat him because he didn't have the proper footwear, what does that make me? I had good feet that day. That doesn't make me the strongest, doesn't make me the best. So I'll let him use my shoes, and I want to beat him. And I got no excuses, and I like that. So
yeah, that's a story we commonly hear in strongman for sure. What's your favorite event?
When I was good, I was good at farmers. So farmers, I wouldn't say it was my favorite, I guess, but I was really good at it. I had good grip. I've got relatively large hands, so it worked out well. I hate overhead press. I really do. I was never great at overhead press. I was decent deadlifter, good at yoke, farmers. I flipped an 1,100-pound tire once, so I got that on video. So I'll never do it again, but I did flip an 1,100-pound tire at one point in my life.
So here's the great debate. Which side do you come down on for farmers, knurling or no knurling?
Knurling. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. My hands are pretty tough. I can take that cheese grating stuff. Because I mean, I spent time in powerlifting where they have those deadlift bars that are literally cheese graters. So yeah, I'm good with knurling. I can handle it. Plus, if I can hang on for 2 seconds longer, then so be it. So.
Interesting. JF says no knurling.
Yeah, well, who can argue with that guy? That's what I looked at. Like, you can't argue with these guys that are like super successful. Yeah, it works for them well. Absolutely.
I asked him that question once. He says, either you have strong grip or you don't.
Fantastic, right? Dave Tate one time said something to me when I was at one of his seminars up in London, Ohio, and it made sense because I said, I've never had any issue with grip on deadlift. And he goes, oh, you're just not strong enough yet. He's like, eventually you'll run into a grip issue. You're just not strong enough to run into your grip issue yet. I'm like, how? it was right. He was right, but
Yeah.
it hurt. You know, and it's like, yeah, you'll have a grip issue eventually. You're just not strong enough.
Yeah,
So,
that's me. That's me.
So I can appreciate that. You know, Dave Tate's never been one to pull punches. So
Yeah, I run into that too. I'm like, wait, really strong people have grip issues with deadlift? It's not my problem.
right. I got to work on my back first, and then I'll work on my grip.
Yeah. I'm like, my back can't get this up. It has nothing to do with my grip.
Right.
What about you, Katie? What's your favorite strongman event?
So far, I mean, I've only done a handful of them, but so far, probably my favorite that I feel like I'm maybe best at is the yoke. I mean, the heaviest I've ever walked, I think it's like 250, maybe 260. I don't know. I think I like it because you have to use your entire body. Like it is really not designated toward one specific muscle group. It's a killer for your central nervous system, of course, but I don't know. I like it. I love to deadlift. I don't know why. I just really like it. I still have a long way to go as far as proper form, which I'm definitely working on. For whatever reason, it's taking my muscle memory a lot longer to like listen to my brain on proper deadlift, but I love the deadlift. Absolutely.
I've been doing this 20 years and I still don't know how to properly deadlift. Katie, don't get on yourself like this. Like literally
Yeah.
I was just gonna say
know,
the same thing. Yeah, like I feel like every time I deadlift with someone else, they teach me something new, and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I thought I had good form, but yeah.
Apparently 285 is my heaviest.
Yeah, Justin's fact checking you and giving you.
I knew that when I said that, I was like, Justin's still watching. He's definitely going to fact check me. So yeah, 285 apparently is my heaviest.
Some extra credit there. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah. Thanks, Justin.
By the way, Donnie, Justin's making up for the previous diss. He's giving you a nice compliment here.
Oh, here we go. We had a proper group. Oh, look at that. Oh man, now I feel like calling for saying he's herpes. Oh, sorry, Justin.
Good job, Justin.
No, I did enjoy working with Justin when I first met him. We actually met at World's Strongest Man in Bradenton, and of course he stuck out in a beach full of strongmen. Justin still stuck out in his size, so we found out he lived like 2 blocks or like 2 miles from my gym. So we trained, and it was fun times listening, trying to have conflicting personalities, but watching him excel because of his physical stature. It was fun. It was good. And also, I think for Katie, people gotta understand, 285 yoke, but there's a picture on this thing somewhere you guys made of how the difference. I'm 6 foot, 320 pounds, and Katie looks like my daughter next to me. That's how small she is. So she's 285 is still pretty brutal for the stature that she is. I just want to make sure that the context is there. So.
I was going to ask you, so with your yoke too, where do you like to pick it? Because I know some people like 2 inches of clearance, some people like 4 inches of clearance. Katie, have you done it enough to know where you like the yoke, like how much clearance you want when you're running with it?
I like less clearance, honestly, like maybe 2 inches. I don't know if I know it's different for everybody. I feel like then I don't have to squat. I don't have to use my quads as much just to pick it up and start walking. So I feel like I exert less energy just to pick it up and start moving, with it only being lifted about 2 inches off the ground. So far that's kind of what works for me. So I don't have a whole lot of data to go off on. Like I said, I've only done it a handful of times, a couple times in comps, but yeah, lower distance.
You have to learn from one of the best, Nick Best.
Say what?
So you literally got a chance to learn from Nick Best, who was one of the best at yokes.
Yeah,
He agrees, because if you're a stable yoke walker, you don't need a lot of clearance. If you don't have a stable abdominals and upper back, then you're going to need clearance because you're a walking pendulum.
Right.
But if not, then you shouldn't need that much.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny how like who you pick as like your model for everything. For me, the model for yoke is Rob Kearney. But
Rob's when he did that 1400 or 1300 at Worlds, what can you say for a 290-pound man? I mean, It's ridiculous. This is the reason why I got out of that sport, is because of that stuff like that. That, man, what am I gonna do? God.
Go ahead, Isaac. I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say it's been interesting because we've had a lot of different people from all levels, from novice to professional, strongman competitors to world strongest man competitors, and we've asked them about yoke height, and some of them prefer the higher pick, some of them prefer the lower pick, some of them are really good at it and prefer a higher pick, some are really good and prefer a lower pick, and so it seems like it's kind of back and forth on all levels where people stand on a yoke pick. And I just find it interesting. I mean, every time I've done it, I generally go with, like 2 to 3 inch clearance maybe. But I've never had an issue with stumbling or with it catching on anything yet. I know some people have mentioned too, when they're doing it on more of an uneven surface, then they'll go with a higher pick just because there's that higher risk of it developing a swing or something like that. But I just think it's a fun question to ask people, because the answers you get, you can never predict how anyone's going to answer. So
If you're on an uneven ground for yoke, pick your shows better.
No, Mammoth with dirt floor was quite an interesting show.
They didn't have a yoke though, did they? They had farmers.
No, they didn't have yoke, but they had a lot of moving events on the dirt floor.
I'll say this. I say this for most things. Every answer has a right or wrong depending on why you do it, for the most part. So whenever someone says it this way, like you can ask Katie, I say it. They're right and they're wrong depending on what their rationale they're using it for. So and that makes sure you're always thinking like, man, maybe I could learn something from this. Oh, maybe I didn't see it that way. I don't go into anything with the only one way to do things. Like I said, explain to me why you're doing it this way, and I'll decide whether I think you're right or wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that actually reminds me. So speaking of, there's more than one way to do things. So like I said, I like lifting stones on the trail. So I'm trying to get this. It was 210 pounds as far as I was able to weigh it on the dirt floor. So give or take. But 210-pound stone, and I was trying to lap it, and I couldn't clear my knees. So I tried it day after day, couldn't clear my knees. So I was on Instagram. I saw Hannah Lindsay doing Atlas stones. Now I get it. It's Atlas stones, not a natural stone, but the technique sort of carried over. So I'm like, I tried it again, and I lifted it, and it wasn't clearing my knees. But then I did the deep squat, and then you can counterbalance it, and I could roll it into my lap even without it being past my knees. So, like, I was just wondering, like, do you come across a lot of situations like that at the gym where technique makes a big difference? Like, strength's important, but you can get over a hump with a nice technique cue that maybe somebody didn't think of that you can help them with?
You can ask Katie. When I first taught her, I looked at her squat, and I didn't change much. I just tweaked a few things, and all of a sudden her baby deer squat turned into a legitimate squat. And it took, 15 minutes, Katie?
Literally 15 minutes. And that's actually something that even before I started working at the gym, before I ever asked him the question about getting into fitness, I took what he did with me, and I actually use that with my clients now when I do consultations, and they say, I want to squat better, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, let me see how you squat now. Well, shouldn't you tell me how I'm supposed to do it? I'm like, if you've done a squat before, you know how it's supposed to be done. Let me just see how you do it. Because if I go ahead and put some sort of connotation in their head about exactly how it's supposed to be performed, then they might do it in a way that doesn't work for their body type. You know what I mean? Because everybody's squat form is different. For me, I was doing an online fitness program, and they all said, and I get it, because they want to protect everybody. They say, make sure that your feet are no more than shoulder width apart. Keep your toes facing forward. For me, all it took to get a more powerful squat down to parallel was putting my toes out just like that and a little bit wider. And that worked for me. And that came from him just seeing how I did it first. Not how I was doing it wrong, but he looked at how I did it first, how I could improve. And he gave me some tips and pointers on how to improve it. Like you said, 15 minutes. And I do the same thing with my clients now, and it really works, because that way it puts it the power back to them to a degree, to where they're almost more open to suggestion after they do it first, and I can see it, and then I give them suggestions, tips, and pointers on how to improve it, because proper form looks different on every body type. Every single body type, it looks different. So
yeah, it's good
That's
tip.
it.
And
Well,
Donnie, I was wondering too, you're a USS rep for Florida, right? How did you get involved with that? And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I've been promoting strongman shows. I was assisting in strongman shows back in 2010 with the former state rep for what was then North American Strongman. And then in 2012, I started promoting my Tampa Bay show, the Tampa Bay Strongman Classic, coming in October. And I started doing that. And then when Willie Wessels started USS, I think it was in 2016, there was a state rep here, and he was a friend of mine, and state rep was moving out of state. And he suggested to Willie that I take over, and I talked, and I talked it over, and I said, okay, I'll take it over. What could it hurt? So all I've been doing is trying to, just make sure that the shows that happen in my state are quality, because you want to make sure that we build a good brand of quality shows in the state. And it's not just USS. We want to work together to make sure that strongman in general is quality. In my opinion, I don't really care for the parking lot shows, stuff where there's tents and maybe one speaker. That's not my thing anymore. I want, my shows are indoor venues with expo stuff. Like I'm doing the Europa coming up this Saturday. It's in a huge, several 100,000 square foot facility. When I do my Tampa Bay Strongman Classic, it's in an indoor large facility where we have vendors, we have food trucks, we have entertainment. I have smoke machines when I introduce the athletes to come out. They get their own introduction and music and stuff. I make it about hey, let's celebrate these people a little bit. It is amateur sport, so I'm not paying people thousands of dollars. It's still an amateur show, but hey, let's make it a good show. So that's what I've been trying to do as a state rep, and then trying to say, okay, if you're going to do a show in the state, you're going to have a certain parameters you're going to have to follow. Paying your staff, that's a big deal. People don't pay their staff. So what kind of motivation do you have? So I make sure, hey, you have to pay your staff, whether it's $50 or what, I don't care, but something to motivate them to be there and to work. That way you have some not control, but you have some say over what they're doing, because they're no longer just volunteers. That kind of stuff. So yeah, that's been, I've been that since I think 16 is when I took over, 15 or 16, one of the two. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Willie's a good guy. He's been on the show as well.
Love Willie. I'm surprised how long did that show last?
That one was a while, right, Isaac?
I love Willie.
think that one was like an hour and a half.
Whenever Willie calls me, I have to make sure I got 15 minutes to spare, because it's going to be a 15-minute conversation.
Yeah, it was Willie and friends. It was a few folks together. Yeah.
Right.
That was a good
Well,
one.
that was right before, because they were coming on to announce all the groups and
Right.
everything, all the rewriting of
the new pro system.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Yeah. I did one of his first pro shows last year, where I paid the athletes. I paid them double what their minimum was. So I want to make sure I was bringing people in and doing the right thing. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So typically the way we wrap up these things is we ask you to promote whatever you'd like to promote. You can talk more about Tampa Bay Strongman Classic if you want. You want to talk about Aches and Gains, maybe, whatever you'd like to promote.
Aches and Gains. Yeah, Aches and Gains is a good little project. I put it on hold a little bit for some other times, but it's a podcast where I have a friend of mine who is a doctor of physical therapy, and he's also a former athlete. He's a football player. He's had 2 ACL repairs. That's what got him into to be a DPT. And he and I see very eye to eye on how to fix injuries with strength training. So we came together and did a podcast. My wife helps us edit it out, because she's really good with that stuff and make it good. But it's fun. We sit down and we have a couple non-alcoholic drinks, and just go over some cool stuff and try to make it entertaining while adding some value. So if you look on YouTube, look for Aches and Gains with a Z at the end, with Doc and Donnie. That's our thing there. Tampa Bay Strongman Classic every year in October in the Tampa Bay area. That's my big show. It'll be happening again this year. I don't have the exact date, but October. Look for it on Iron Podium. and this will be the 11th year of that show. I do believe it's the longest running show in the state of Florida right now. So
that's fantastic. And Katie, how about you? What are some exciting things you have coming up?
Yeah, along with just really getting into my career as a trainer, well, with Donnie and I had this conversation. We like to refer to ourselves more as strength coaches or fitness coaches. Maybe I want to call myself a fitness coach, because the term personal trainer is just, to me, it's somewhat of an umbrella term. Like, personal trainer can mean so many different things. You know, we've I guess if you wanted to say one thing that we both like to focus on for our clients, it's more strength. Like he mentioned, building your strength can help rehabilitate you through an injury. Of course, maybe not as heavy as you went before, but, you know, getting those muscles activated again, help you recover from an injury. So anyway, just kind of really getting into more of my strength coach career. You know, I only have a handful of clients right now, and that's okay. I mean, I've been doing this less than 6 months, so I know that they're going to start rolling in more with Donnie's help, especially. Like I said, he's been instrumental. I've met a lot of really, really great people through him. As far as me personally, I'm really looking forward to seeing what I can do in Strongman. You know, like I said, I just got into it in November, and I absolutely love it. I love competing again. It's something totally different than your squat, bench, deadlift that they do, you know, in powerlifting and bodybuilding, everything. There's so many people that do that. Strongman is like, you think of the craziest implements that nobody in their right mind would ever try to lift, and things that they would try to do that just seems like it would be so taxing on your body, and that's what they're make you do. Like, it's just not normal. And I think I like that, because it's not normal. And like Donnie said, like the camaraderie around the sport, I absolutely love. I have girls that I've competed against that have reached out to me after the fact and have said, hey, you ever want to come train with me? Or you know, I think if you maybe try to tweak this in your training, your deadlift can be stronger, your overhead press can be stronger. And it's just amazing. I'm like, these are girls that I compete against, and they're giving me tips and pointers on how I can get stronger and I can get better. So yeah, I'm just really excited to see where that journey takes me, before I officially get in the master's class in a year and a half, which I don't think I'll ever do that. I don't know. Is there even a master's for women?
yes, there is.
Yeah,
It's not on a local level, but on a.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, they got
No, I don't know. I kind
of
like competing with the young girls too, seeing what I can do, even though I'm like 20 years older than some of them. So
yeah, if you ever get to OSG level, for example, like the you know, the successful masters that comes to my mind is like Kiki Burley Johnson, for example. But yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently you're going to do a 350 yoke here pretty soon, according to Justin.
We got another comment coming out.
Yeah.
For what?
There it is.
I am not.
There it is. We talking body weight, or what are we talking?
I don't know. I think he's referring to deadlift. I don't think he's referring to the yoke, or unless maybe both. I don't know. I don't know.
I think yoke. You're good.
Yeah, his earlier comment was about yoke, so I'm assuming it's a continuation of that thought process.
Maybe so, yeah.
Triple body weight yoke. Let's do it.
I'm thinking about doing that myself. That's crazy. I'm going to go for double body weight first. I've never done a yoke before. I've asked people this, like, so what do you guys think for someone who's never done a yoke before? What should I shoot for compared to body weight? I'd
get under the yoke and feel it first, and then shoot for a weight.
What do they typically weigh empty?
It depends. I know because we had a Rogue one at the gym that I was at that I think was 150, and then they also had a handmade one that was 550.
That's old school strongman there. Somebody there was an old school guy.
Yeah, it was all welded together and everything, and it had these massive like 3/4 inch bolts that made it adjustable. And I didn't know it was 550 the first time I went, and I picked it up and I carried it across the room, not knowing its weight. But I was like, man, am I having a really bad day, or is it? No, it's actually a 550 yoke. It's like, oh.
I hate to be that back in my day guy, but that's before Rogue and Valor and all these places came out. The only way to get it was some guy who knew a welder that had some scrap steel laying around, and you gave him a little design, and he came out, and it was every implement was different. Every implement was different. Farmers, every yoke was different, and you're just like, well, we're just gonna jump under this and see how it goes.
Mhm.
Yeah, the way I do it is, what's that? I don't remember the name of the lift. Isaac, you'll remember the one that Lises did at one of the Arnolds, where the bar starts off on the ground and then you kind of bring it up. Steinborn, thank you. Yeah. That's what I do. So I go in the woods and I Steinborn logs and then run with them. That's my yoke.
Oh, that's old school strongman there. That's that's it. That's where strongman had its origins from before it became as standard as it is now.
It's true. So Katie, I wish for you to run into a wrecking ball hold sometime in your future and have some fun. And thank you both for jumping on. I think we had an awesome conversation. I learned a ton from both of you. Any last words before we wrap up?
Go ahead, Katie.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it. Big time. Thank you.
Strength Performance Institute's got a brand new website rolling out soon. Space age technology stuff with client portals and all the good stuff. So I don't know where I'll link it or something like that to you guys if you want to put it out there, but that'll be the new our new site that we can interact through for anybody potentially looking to seek our services or just want to check out more about us. So
yeah, absolutely. Just send it over to me. I'll put it in the description.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. And for right now, just I guess the best way to probably get a hold of us is through our Facebook, Strength and Performance Institute on Facebook. We just started the Instagram, our Instagram page for the gym. We're a lot more active on Facebook, so that's always a good way to get a hold of us too. So,
okay, awesome, sounds good. Well, I want to thank you both for joining us. Like I said, we had an awesome discussion, and maybe we do it again in the future sometime. Have a great night.
Had a great time. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, to all of you still watching, as always, ciao, homie.